Virgos, I think I gave the heading harvesting Virgos, or 5 essential things that Virgos or Virgo lovers need to know. So I'm going to go right into it so that we can get right into what you need to know about Virgo. So the first thing to know about Virgo, right, is that we're in the time of Virgo. This is the actual season. That's not the essential part. But what is essential is to realize that in the northern hemisphere, this particular time was the time of the harvest, where you actually had to gather and separate the wheat from the chaff in order to be able to bring it to market. So this was the critical period where you were getting ready for winter. So one key word I want to give you for dealing with Virgo is the idea of preparation, being ready. Readiness is the all for Virgo. A lot of people will think that it's about efficiency and think it's about, they will think it's about perfection. They will think it's all those things, and Virgos are just critical. Here's the thing to know about Virgo with that. They're not critical without reason. Virgo starts with the assumption you want to be better. That's the key thing, because it doesn't make sense in a Virgoan mind that you would do something half-assed. And think then, by virtue of doing something half-assed, that that's just good enough. So Virgo comes along, well actually, wouldn't you want to do that? And you're thinking, well, you're just being critical, and you're just downing me. Because maybe you're all in your Leo feelings, right? Because we just left from Leo. And Virgo wants to improve. See, one of the critical differences between Virgo and Leo is Leo, as being ruled by the sun, believes that all I have to do is shine and show up and I'm good, right? Whereas Virgo is like, well, you could do a little better and we can improve it. This is why there's so many Virgos in show business. Some of the top performers of all time actually are Virgos. Yeah. In terms of rappers. Beyonce, Michael Jackson. There we go. And the reason why they're really the show people is because they work at that dimension of craft. Now sometimes they go too far and lean toward the aspect of perfection. Whereas the better way in which Virgos can sustain themselves deals with preparation. And that's critical. Rather than getting caught up in perfection, you can deal with preparation or efficiency. A lot of people think that Virgos are always going to be neat. No. Anyone who's lived with some Virgos, I'm not saying all, right? Who's ever lived with some Virgos, you can say like, you're not going to clean that ever? Now, why would that be? That's like a contradiction, Sam. You're talking about they get ready for the harvest and they're about being preparatory. How can they be both preparatory and dirty? Will you please pick up that tampon? Thank you. All the things.
Well, that's another level. I mean,
right?
I think that's all science.
Hey, listen, I know. But what am I talking about with this? Well, here's the thing to know. Virgo, now I'm going to talk about another dimension of Virgo in terms of work. When Virgo gets into like something must be done, a task has to be orchestrated or done, whatever is most efficient is what will work. So if it is efficient to leave that tampon there to be dirty in order to have these orders ready, that's what I would do. Not about just neatness and the story picture idea of Virgo as you might read in your horoscope. It becomes efficiency. So I want to put it in a different way. You will not outwork a Virgo. Let me say it again. You will not outwork a Virgo. Why do they work so hard? Again, because they want to make sure they're ready. Now, there's a good way to be ready, and there's a bad way to be ready. The good way to be ready is realizing that you're being ready in order to be the best that you can be, which is different than being the best that anything can be. So there's something that is idealized in some other realm where you're tapping into the inner Pisces in you, and you have a vision of something, because Pisces is the opposite of Virgo, and you're tapping into something where I can just be perfect, and then you can end up losing your life. This might be even the story of Michael Jackson. because you can get so caught up in some idealized notion of beauty that you can't appreciate your own beauty and not recognizing you don't have to be ready or prepared for anything else other than yourself. The reason why Virgo is the maiden is they're preparing to receive like a virgin. But the person that you are waiting to receive, the thing you are waiting to receive, Virgo, is yourself. If you get too caught up in other dimensions of readying yourself, this can lead to the other problem. This is the third issue that can happen with Virgo, which is you confuse intuition or your gut with worry. Worry is not intuition or honoring your gut. Worry is when you're thinking about circumstances that are clearly beyond your control, and thinking then, if you just think about it a little more, you might find a workaround. That's worry. Intuition is really allowing something to penetrate you, maybe from deep within your inner voice or from your soul, that emerges as just a crystallized sense of truth. I also say intuition is another way that your heart jumps for joy. And your body will deliver that in just feeling like, that makes sense, and it just compels your whole body. Whereas worry is like, well, if I think about this, or maybe he's doing this, and maybe she's doing that, and this is happening, or maybe if I do this, that is just like a loop effect, which actually can have a detrimental effect on your whole body. And specifically for Virgos, the key thing to watch out for is dealing, this is the fourth thing, your gut. When I talk about your gut, I'm talking about being very attuned to your intestinal tract. Virgo rules the intestines and what goes on in digestion in the human body. So when you worry, when you get too caught up in the loop effect, this is where you can do detrimental effect to your stomach. Ulcers, constipation, or even other problems with your bowels, because you're not really connected to the truth of your gut. You're kind of fueling it with other stuff and not allowing other things to pass through. So one of the lessons and one of the challenges for Virgo is dealing with the elements of control. When I say the elements of control, is realizing that sometimes you have to surrender to something that is beyond yourself, and that the only thing that can make you ready for that is to be ready to step out into the void. And by stepping out into the void, you realize that you just have to allow yourself to float, almost like being in a pool. But if you kind of get too caught up in all the different ways in which you can control, having the perfect system, making sure it's efficient enough. Efficient only will get you so far. You know how they say the best plans, or man plans, God laughs? That doesn't mean you shouldn't plan at all. But don't think your plans can trump the idea of the divine. Because the divine actually still always has control. Your job is to do the best, again, that you can. Virgo is the vessel readying itself to be best for delivering the message. That's what Virgo does. That's what the mystery of the Virgin is. That's why we have the celebration and idea of the Christ. The last thing I want to say about Virgos, this is very important for those people who have Venus in Virgo, for example, or the strong Sun in Virgo, maybe even Mercury in Virgo if it's connected to some part of dealing with relationship in their chart. Here's the thing. Being someone who is helpful, being someone who believes in service and being of service in preparation for someone else, does not mean that a helpmate is someone you have to always damn help. Do not confuse a helpmate with someone you always have to help along. That's not why you're here. A helpmate is someone with whom you can do the work together. A helpmate is someone who you jointly help in a larger sense of purpose. But a helpmate, sometimes for a Virgo, can seem like someone, well, baby, what more can I do for you? Or you're starting off with someone who's broken, you think, well, maybe I can fix him or her. Rather than realizing, oh, well, he's been refurbished, he's not quite ready from the factory, but maybe he'll get better. You don't always have to take the floor model home. That's very important because Virgo wants to get the idea of extending that need to be prepared and ready as something that's something that should happen from the other person. I should be ready and you should be ready in order to receive each other. We always can improve, but there's no one else you have to be ready for except but you. And if that person can't receive you as you are or where you are, then you are taking, I know this is going to sound crass, but you're going to get it. You're taking the help home. There's no point, if you have labored and worked hard, because Virgos work hard, right? There's no point of doing all that labor, let's say to get out of Harvard Law, or to get your career to a place where it's making you some money, right? And then to go out with somebody who says, well, baby, all I can do is take us out for pizza tonight, or for our first date. For what? Well, maybe no, don't worry about it. I'm making enough for both of us right now, today. Where do you get to be treated special? Where do you jointly receive the idea of the help? Who is there to help you? You are not there to just be a servant. Mother Teresa may have been a Virgo, but all of us don't have to be Mother Teresa. Alright, she was also a nun. I don't know if the sisters here or the brothers here want to be nuns. So keep that in mind. That's the fifth and key vital lesson for Virgo, is realizing that you are here to be of service. You are here to help. You are here to improve. And there are some people who are going to be ready and prepared to receive the wisdom that you have that will help them to improve. And then there are some people who may not want to do that. Your job is not to push that on them. Nor is your job to kind of assume the responsibility of their improvement on yourself unless that is your paid job. If it is not your paid job, you do not have to do it. With that said, I think I have a few more minutes for questions. So, thank you.
That was amazing. That was really insightful. As a Virgo and as an energy, practitioner and a medium of sorts, how would you say I can provide a service for others and also help myself? What are the best tactics for Virgos to kind of balance that out? I've been doing this for a while, but now it's getting to a degree where there's so many people and I have so much energy to give out, but at the same time, I find it difficult to organize and balance myself as a priority in the midst of helping other people, because there's such an overwhelming need to kind of provide a service of healing that I'm like, oh, I freaking wait.
So how do you leave room for yourself? So one of the key things is to formulate very clearly on, especially if you're a practitioner, what are your boundaries? And then when I say boundaries, it can come in, and some of you are my friends and know. Like, when I make friends with someone, when I say you are my friend, then they know that we just are not going to talk about astrology randomly. It's just not going to happen. Because I need someone who can be there for me as my friend. So we need some place in which we're talking about jointly understanding each other. So that's a key thing. Making sure that you have friends and not people who are also seeking advice because of what you do.
Right.
Okay? The other thing that's also very important. The other thing that also is very important in terms of dealing about messaging is that realize, especially when you're a healer or seer, that the cosmos is always in dialogue with you. So many times, the people who are coming to see you in some way are dealing with some permutation of an issue that you dealt with or that you are going to be dealing with. And so you need to be paying attention to the lessons that are coming to them, to you. And then see like what can be appropriate. If you're seeing a lot of things where people are dealing with like health problems or whatever, you might be like, well, maybe I need to get a checkup and kind of work on myself, or kind of do like a cleanse.
Well, one recently, within the past maybe 2 weeks, I've been hearing a lot of, God forbid, I've been hearing a lot of stories of people's houses burning down. A lot. Like,
it may not be literal. It may not be literal.
Oh, I've been praying that it's not literal.
It may not be literal, so you don't have to do. Yeah, it may not be. So she's been hearing recently about a lot of people's houses. People have been coming to her, and a lot of people have been talking about their houses burning down. So it may not be literal as much as getting your house in order, or even getting the knock to check the different extension cords and things in your home.
Yeah, through things that there were unpredictable or unforeseen circumstances, like, oh, I don't know how this happened. It was just an electrical fire. We were fine.
Right.
We don't know.
So it could be like this.
So I'm like, what do you mean?
So
yeah.
just to check.
I'm like, what's the message here? So I need to look out, or I need to tell people,
or there's something, or there's some kind of house, some construction, or something that you're dealing with in terms of a personal relationship that it's time to let it go. But it could be just to check your own home. The last thing I want to say, because it's very important, because I want to do a whole series of classes for healers and seers, since we have them here at the Zodiac Lounge, and you have to take care of yourself. One key thing I keep in mind, and I rely on my Moon and Leo to help me with this, you can't be in the game if you aren't here. So all these people who need help, who have been waiting for you in order to receive the blessing that you have to give, you can't give them if you're not here. So if you don't take care of you, you can't do your mission. So on some level, you can never put other people's agendas more than your own on that level, because you have to take care of yourself in order to be of service. Because you can't be of service if the vessel again is weak.
Ashe. Ginger's nasty.
Oh, yeah, you have one question? Yes.
Yeah, and then you talk about having the moon in Virgo. How does that influence your,
yes.
your sign?
So, one quick thing to know, in astrology, you have a sun sign, a moon sign, and a rising sign. So the sun sign actually holds the key code for the idea of the sign in your consciousness. It's more the organizing principle for why you're here. The moon sign, though, will have a stronger registry in terms of your emotional or your daily experience, your growth experience, more visceral experience for how you're dealing with the register of the sign. So a moon in Virgo may never feel as ready as, say, a sun in Virgo, because it's much more intimate. And they may also think more about the details a lot more, because it's closer. Whereas the rising sign of Virgo, they may feel that as an overall life trajectory and be dealing with the issues of service and the call for service as something they're going toward. Your rising sign reveals more of what is manifesting in your life, whereas your moon sign is more what you really kind of connect to on a day-to-day. So you connect to the Virgo experience. Whereas the sun sign is the overall inner DNA that sometimes comes out very clearly and sometimes not. Just like in terms of like how certain patterns of your consciousness comes from your parents. But your moon is your actual conditioning.
What's the ascendant?
So the rising sign is more so, or the ascendant, more the thing that you're becoming. So in many ways, the Virgo rising can sometimes even be more Virgoan than the sun in Virgo, because that's what they're becoming. Yes. The sun sign. Yeah, so sometimes, this is why, like, Indian astrologers are very much into your moon, because your moon sign will reveal more about who you are on a day-to-day than your sun sign. Your sun sign, because it's a little more distant, is a little more removed. is kind of the overall purpose. Like you're going to the store to get some milk, but it also, you get in your car, you feel comfortable, so you're dealing with the dimension of your car that's more immediate, and then the route you're in, and you're kind of navigating, that becomes the experience, and you can forget that you're going to the store. People forget their sun signs all the time. That's the problem. Last question. When they're the same, then it's even more important. You feel, which is the same, the sun and the moon, or the rising? When you feel the sun and the moon, then you're a new moon baby, and so you're attempting to learn the very essence of what that sign signifies. So, for instance, if you're a new moon baby that we're about to have an eclipse, all right. So this new moon that's coming up tomorrow, for instance, you're feeling, let's say that baby born tomorrow, that baby is going to feel the very essence of having to manifest Virgo, both in terms of sun and also in terms of moon. So the idea, the intentionality, going toward preparation and being ready and being the idea, the vessel, is something that would be very strong. So you also have to be careful because the idea of perfection that looms in the consciousness will also be strong. So this is the child who, like, when they're building like building blocks, and you're like, oh, that's so cute, let me just turn. Don't knock it all down because you ruined it. It wasn't perfect. So that's where it can go too strong. So sometimes, like for instance, if we're sun, moon, and Scorpio, one could feel like you have to go through hell and back so much as part of your experience in terms of Mars and the quote-unquote Pluto aspect of it. It's like, well, damn, I've been a Phoenix so many times, I should play for him. You know, it's like I can just feel all that energy. You know, all that way in which you kind of resurrected the sense of self. All right.
She had a question.
All right, last question, really.
I was just wondering, how can Virgo take advantage of Jupiter being in their sign?
All right, Jupiter in Virgo. So the key thing about Jupiter in Virgo, because Jupiter is in Virgo now, and so it's going to eventually hit the different people who have Sun in Virgo. So what I would say is that Jupiter is a match funder. So what you want to do now, rather than thinking like, oh, I should play the lottery, or, you know, I should just think I'm going to be lucky, rather than thinking that you should have random luck, remember one definition of luck is that luck is preparation, right, with opportunity. So what do you want to be ready for? And then when the Jupiter is coming close to your sun, right, let's say like you're a Virgo born tomorrow, right, so Jupiter is coming pretty close to your sun probably toward the end of the year. So you want to launch endeavors, or you want to do particular things close to that. So for instance, if you have Virgo rising, you want to think about doing more promotions and active work toward the end of, like, if it's like 19 degrees Virgo, you want to do more active work in terms of putting yourself out there, or if you want to meet more, if you're in business, you want to meet more clients, or if you're doing a writing endeavor, this might be a time to kind of pitch a book title, or even to get in contact with an agent. It's really the timing for doing the thing that would be lucky if you were prepared. All right? With that said, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Please dump it.